War of the Vision's original assassin is back with a brand new EX job. Alongside that, she'll get a new Vision card that's going to be evasion related. I'll cover that in a future video, so tune in for that. But I assume this Vision card is going to be about as strong as Tobi's Vision card for herself. So if Vinera equips that, she'll be faster, she'll have more evasion, and more damage. It's going to be a perfect card for her. Now, Vinera's role is to be an evasion damage dealer. Dark/attacker. So originally when she was released, she was the first character that actually made evasion viable, because she had so much evasion compared to what units had in accuracy at the time that she was basically impossible to hit. But since then, units have been released with more guaranteed hit abilities, more accuracy up buffs, and she's really fallen down the meta quite a bit. So she has an interesting stat progression. From 99 to 115, she gains a little bit of everything. So her HP goes up by about 500, her attack goes up by about 150, then dex up, sure, and about 30 luck, which is around 14 evasion in her case. So that's really important to keep her in the evasion meta. At 260, she's a little bit below Tobi, but she's still somewhat competitive with the evasion meta. So that is very good for her. And then if you go all the way to 120, you get another 400 HP and then a bunch more attack. And at 595, her attack is top tier. But even at 541, it's already really high compared to a lot of the units. I do think though, since she's a short range attacker, she's going to take some damage before reaching the enemy team more often than not. And so the extra HP from 120 is really important for her. Also, for attackers, you want as much stat as possible. Generally, I think tanks and healers and supports don't need their 120 that much, but for your damage dealers, you want to go all the way, really. So the extra stats are pretty important for her. So let's compare those stats to some other units with evasion-oriented builds. First of all, Tobi. They have very similar HP. Tobi is quite a bit faster in her base speed, and then Vinera's attack is way higher than Tobi's. That's a pretty good difference. In terms of luck, Tobi has a bit more evasion than what Vinera has, but Vinera's passives for evasion are a little bit better, so that makes up for the difference. But overall, their stats are pretty similar. So if you like Tobi's playstyle, Vinera's playstyle will be very similar. They don't have the same stat resistance, so you can charm Vinera, which you cannot do to Tobi, and then Vinera is weak to magic at -20, which means she's very susceptible to being one-shot by magical attacks. So there is a risk there that you don't necessarily have when you're playing Tobi. Also, she's a human, so overall, Tobi is not a human, so Mankiller doesn't apply, which means that it's generally going to be easier to kill Vinera than it is to kill Tobi. But with her higher attack, she could potentially hit harder. So it's a trade-off. Then if we look at Ketone, and I'm bringing up the Ketone EX, so she doesn't have it in global yet, but those are the stats from JP when she gets her 120 upgrade. Very similar HP once again. Ketone is even faster, so way faster than Vinera. She has about the same evasion and a lot less attack. So in terms of offense, among evasion units, Vinera will be the top for a long time. Now, her EX upgraded abilities are really oriented towards survivability. Now, don't get me wrong, EX Vinera will still do a ton more damage, but that's just from her attack score changing, not from her abilities hitting harder. So the first upgrade she gets is on her Evasion Up passive, but that means that with this passive, she now has 12% more HP, more survivability. Now, what I dislike about this upgrade, though, is I like running Vinera with Thief Lore, which gives her move and agility up, and also her tune-up, which gives her defense penetration. Now, because of the EX upgrade, you're losing out on the upgrade if you don't run the evasion rate up passive. So that gives you a choice. Do you want one extra square of movement, or do you want defense penetration? Because you're probably always going to want evasion and HP. Then her second upgraded ability is Armor Breaker. So that is her bread and butter move, right? If she gets to the enemy, it decreases defense, then deals crazy damage. It's still does all of that, but now on top, it's going to heal you back for 30% of the damage you do. So again, it's oriented towards keeping Vinera alive. 30%, I'm not that big a fan of this. I feel like it's a weak upgrade for an EX upgraded ability. Like, I love Luel's Law of Geoabsorption because it heals back for 30% in an AoE. So if you take 2 or 3 enemies in there, you're going to heal back for a lot. But I've used to be quite a bit, and in her single target attacks, she usually heals back for at most 1.5k HP, and that's what I'm expecting from Vinera. So if you land a really devastating attack and hit for 5,000, you're going to heal for quite a bit, but even that won't be enough to put you back to full life if you've taken a couple hits. So it increases her survivability a little, but does it make her hard to kill? I don't think so. Especially since she's going to take a couple hits before reaching the enemy team. And then her new ability is very interesting. Blood Alliance, or whatever name they give it in Global, restores AP by 20, and then increases her single target resistance by 25 for 3 turns. So great, because that's going to protect you against Holy, against Sharpshoot, and most guaranteed hit abilities. Not Yuna's Limit Break though, and you will not want to take Vinera against Yuna, unless you manage to build a light resistance build. This is really interesting. Single target resistance is good against a lot of guaranteed hit abilities, and it also generates a lot of AP. So you gain half the TP cost in AP, so that's 12 plus 20 from the ability itself. So that generates 32 AP. From a single TP skill, that is a lot. So if she uses it before clashing in with the enemy team, she'll be able to use several abilities in a row. Definitely a good thing. Also, one of Vinera's weaknesses is that she doesn't have great TP abilities to use in general. The Assassin kit has nothing, so she needs to be in her Thief sub-job or her Dual Gunner sub-job to have some good TP skills. And now, well, she has a TP skill no matter the sub-job she has equipped, so that's really good for her. Now, what are some scenarios where you would want to run Vinera EX? Well, in general, she's a high evasion attacker. She's going to have top tier damage. With that attack score and the possibility to have defense penetration, she's going to hit like a truck. An armor cleaver is a top tier attack still. It decreases defense and then hits the target. That's going to hit for a lot. She does suffer from a short range and a weakness to magic, so you have to take these into account. I think she will especially shine as a missile unit hunter. She has a 20% innate missile resistance, and it's pretty easy to build for missile resistance. If you have a Platinum Robe, you're at 30%. If you're running the Mask of Deceit card on somebody on your team, you're now at 50%. And then you can put it even higher with some other vision cards or buffs from Nightblade, for example. So with this, you have a unit that's really hard to hit by most abilities. And if you're targeting ranged attackers, right, gunners and whatnot, they can sharpshoot you, but you have a lot of missile resist, and then you can use your ability that decreases single target resistance, and they're going to miss you with everything outside sharpshoot. So you're pretty good. Against EX Frederica, among other things, she will probably do very well. So that's one build you could run her for. And then if you're a fan of manual play, she will be crazy. I generally love units with high mobility in general in manual play because it allows you to have the initiative. You can be in a position where he's in your range and you're out of his, and that's a very important thing. So having more mobility gives you a lot of advantage, and she has that innately. And then you can equip her with the Thief or Assassin job for some shenanigans like AP Drain, well, Seize AP in the case of Assassin, or just Steal Time, Shadowcast, have a lot of evasion, Steal Accuracy. There are a lot of plays that you can do with her that are very interesting in manual play. And if you're a fan of that game mode, I think she'll be a good investment, especially in maps where we expect to see a lot of missile, because she'll just counter them very effectively. So what's my verdict? Well, she needs her 120 to be at max efficiency. There is a lot of other units that are dark slashers in the game, and they're all going to get their EX eventually, Ruinstern being one of them. If you want to make the most out of her, you need evasion gear and possibly her specific vision card, which I think is what will really push her into the top tier. So it's a very heavy investment. All 6 blossoms, a new vision card, and if you don't have the gear and the Shiva vision card, you can't benefit from her all that much. So I think for most players, she's going to be a skip. But I think that for those that invest in her, if they have everything that it takes to make use of her, she will be a top tier attacker that's really hard to take out. So there are definitely uses for her. The one thing that's going to hold her back for a very long time is the presence of Yuna. Yuna is basically everywhere, and her limit break will probably still one-shot Vinera. She does not gain any AoE resistance, so Energy Rage is going to hit her for full damage, and on a Dart unit, that's probably going to be 7,000 or 8,000 damage, and she'll just go down in one hit no matter what. So that's a major drawback she has. And so that was it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and learned a thing or two, and then it helps with your decision making. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. It will make it more likely that you see my content in the future. And then as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.